Coming up on the Sports Gap, the thin trash talk line, pundit Mortal Kombat. But first, the Lords of the Rings take to the internet. This is the Sports Gap.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Sports Gap. I'm your host, Richard Jefferson. Now, this is our last one from inside the bubble, and thank God. Why? Because it's 150 degrees outside, so now we're in the room. We're inside the bubble, and this is where the Miami Heat and the Lakers are chasing a championship. In sports, things are inevitable. Someone is going to go home unhappy. But even in success, Laker fans find a way to be grumpy. Surprise, surprise. One Laker fan started a change.org petition with over 10,000 signatures. Do you want to know what they want? They are demanding that if the Lakers win, Kyle Kuzma doesn't get a ring. Seriously, like who has time to do this? You know who has time? Don Stinson has time. Thank you, we appreciate the content, Don. And the reasons for this signature range from memes to just being silly, which I'm all about being silly. The one that made me laugh though was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar could come out of the stands at 73 and play better than Kyle Kuzma has been playing. Another read, I want Alex Caruso to get 2 rings, so we'll just give him Kuzma's. It's like, it doesn't work like that. Like, the internet is such a frustrating, confusing, yet beautiful place. But this one hit home for me. When he tried to pass like Magic Johnson, that was the last straw for me.
All 67 games during the regular season, as Kuzma goes in, throws a wild pass and throws it away.
Now, Kyle, I got your back. I threw the exact same dog shit pass to Bron 4 years ago, and this is what he did with it.
Jefferson gets it, flips the pass, and James still manages to track it down. James on the drive!
I'm just saying maybe Bron ain't what he used to be. It wasn't your fault, Kyle. I have your back. That wasn't the only weird thing from the internet this week. As you know, here on the Sports Gap, we love to report on the people that are reporting on sports. And that's one of the reasons why we made this show. And this week, we got Darren Revell versus Jason Whitlock. Now, hopefully there's like a ding ding bell or something. Okay, cool. Revell kicked it off this week with a tweet about lower NBA ratings and race. This is what he said. The NBA Finals ratings being at an all-time low is due to the fact that an NBA Finals game without a crowd is not a great product. Combine that with increased cord cutting and even more options, the NBA's position on politics and race has very little to do with it. Now, Whitlock replied, Nike asset Darren Revell tweeting out to the 2 million followers Nike purchased for him. Now look, a piece of advice. If Jason Whitlock is ever trending on Twitter, which he often does, do not click on it. Your reaction is not going to be, hey, this is a really well thought out point. Why? Because he's a troll. He tends to be more anger provoking than thought provoking. And this is the case here. But I do like Revell being called an asset. I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of funny, Jason. There's no reason to call out Nike on this tweet though. Nike and the NBA players and owners all understand that their affiliations with BLM is going to cost them money, but they are still going to do it because that's how important the issue is to them. Nike especially is ready to play the long game here because they have been proven right already on this issue. A few billion times over in their bank statements and boardrooms of sports leagues. Cap set the example that some things matter more than money. And this is the defining attribute of the modern athlete. If Whitlock wanted to make things interesting, he could have made a point about a dozen other reasons why the NBA ratings are down. What are they, you ask? Well, here we go. This is the first time in history that every sport is happening at the same damn time. NFL kickoff is going on, NHL playoffs, MLB playoffs, NBA playoffs, all at once, including the WNBA and soccer. All of this is going on right now. Sports are staggered for a reason, people. No one is used to thinking about basketball in September. It's kind of unnatural. Add to that, with no one giving Miami a chance to win, ratings were sure to slip. But let's not knock what's been accomplished in the few months at Disney World outside of just the box scores. As Dan Rather pointed out, the NBA has proven to be safer than the White House when it comes to the coronavirus. Look, we get tested every day here, and so do they. But we are also asked to wear masks and social distance. The bubble has not been perfect though. Let's not pretend that it's just been some hippie commune. There have been some tense moments here. Think about how the Milwaukee Bucks' decision to not take the court in the wake of the Jacob Blake shooting, this had a domino effect with sports leagues across the world following suit and joining in solidarity. There is no Nielsen's rating or price tag that you can put on what that meant to sports. There is no asterisk when we talk about the legacy of the NBA bubble champions, because in that moment, the NBA players shook the world. Now, while 2020 might be remembered for athletes using their voices to do good off the field, on the field, what they say to their opponents might not always be a fountain of positivity. Trash talk is a part of competition. The mental game can never be underestimated, right? Because if you could say something that gives your team a better chance to win, that's your job, right?
You're talking all of this shit. Why don't you take me to the hole then? Take you to the hole. Why don't you take me right there? Yeah, I'll be waiting for you.
Practice on people like
you. better practice how to play this game.
Ball.
I'm gonna practice with your money. What you got? What you got? I'm gonna take your money, then I'm gonna take your girl. I'm gonna take your old girl.
That's literally my favorite movie of all time. My favorite sports movie, my favorite basketball movie. Look, you can talk about moms. You can talk about sisters. Some of the sport's brightest stars are legendary trash talkers. Days ago, Jimmy Butler and LeBron James were seen jawing at each other at the end of the game because, as Jimmy explained,
LeBron said to you at the end of the first quarter
that we was in trouble.
Right.
So I just returned the favor.
And that's what trash talking is about. Oh, you want to say something? I got something to say also. And then there's also the story of Tom Tolbert telling us about lining up to guard Larry Bird.
We're playing the Celtics, shake hands, blah, blah, blah. And Larry looks at me, he goes, "You guys gonna guard me with a white guy?"
Let me tell you though.
I looked over at Larry, I go, "Dude, I'm just trying to make a living, all right?"
And that's my Wildcat brother, Tom Tolbert. Bear down. But yeah, these are the things that are said between the lines. And trust me, there are things that are said even crazier that I'm not even going to repeat on this show.
You might be eating that's gonna.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Seems funny, right? Everyone laughs. But sometimes things go too far. And what happens on the field seems to cross a line. A line was clearly crossed in a USL soccer game last week when the San Diego Loyal, coached by Landon Donovan, walked off the field of a game that they were winning after an opponent allegedly used a Jamaican equivalent of the F word when addressing Colin Martin, who came out on MLS Pride Night in 2018. It's worth noting that this was the second time in 2 games that Donovan's actions showed his treatment of his team was more important than earning points leading into the playoffs. Now, the week before, Landon Donovan had to confront racial slurs being hurled at another player. On this night, though, Landon Donovan came to the defense of his player, confronting the officials and the opposing coach, demanding a red card for the alleged offending player.
We are still here trying to get the explanation. Landon's there with Chance, who is head coach for Phoenix.
Landon Donovan heroically stopping the spread of hatred while sadly not doing much to stop the spread of the disease? Like, come on, dude, just wear a mask. We get it. That clip shows where we are in terms of progress. Donovan, in solidarity with his players, walked off the field. That's something that I truly respect. There is a history of this line being crossed in sports, and we just can't cross it. It was just 2011 when Kobe Bryant got fined $100,000 for using a homophobic slur towards a referee. Now look, Kobe's fluent in like 3 or 4 languages, and this is offensive in all of them. And it was not that long ago that gay slurs were being used towards Odell Beckham Jr. on a weekly basis. I played with Jason Collins for 7 years. We were drafted the same year. I went to Arizona, he went to Stanford, so we played against each other in college. And if I had to pick a 12-man roster of people I would go to battle with on any given day, he would be on that team 100 times out of 100. I can't stand the guy, but I love him because he's like my annoying, like bigger, like heavier set brother. Sorry, Jason, I love you. A recent Huffington Post article pointed out that many straight guys don't equate using the slur with being anti-gay. It's a word thrown around for years by Little League coaches and players that have become synonymous with stupid or weak, and that's just not an excuse. I had a conversation recently with someone who I really love and trust that believed that black people can't be racist, and I was like, yes, they can. We literally had an argument about that. By the definition of racism, it is this: Racism is the belief that different races possess distinct traits or characteristic abilities or qualities, especially so as to distinguish them as superior or inferior to one another. In the NBA, Luka Doncic is what you would call a minority. Now think about this moment between him and Montrezl Harrell again.
He's in traffic, bullies his way in. Man, was that a strong bucket by Montrezl Harrell. I said in game 2.
Now imagine if the situation was reversed and Luka hit a step back jumper and said anything about a black boy. That would have been scorched earth. When you say that a white boy can't guard me, that is the definition of racism, whether you like it or not. Montrez realized that he made a mistake and apologized before the next game. Until all sports leagues and governing bodies and best players take a hard stance against bigotry and language that was historically dehumanizing, not just an athlete, but a person, there will be little progress in that regard. The USL stepped up though, suspending the offending player for the rest of the season. When you're a professional athlete, the will to win is all-consuming. So I want to applaud Landon Donovan and the San Diego Loyal for making this statement. By accepting a forfeit, dashing their playoff hopes, and walking off the field in solidarity with their teammate, they have taken a stand and drawn a line in the sand as far as what is acceptable on a human level. And to me, that's a true win. I'm Richard Jefferson, and this is the Sports Gap.
If you want new episodes as soon as they drop, go subscribe to The Sports Gap on YouTube.